Welcome to the Westplex Chamber of Commerce podcast. Here's your host, Brad Hildebrand.
In the studio, I have Mike, and you just told me your name. Pronounce that again?
Swaringim.
Swaringim. So if you're in PE class and you're mad at the coach, what do you do?
Yeah, you cuss in gym. If you cuss in PE class, you're swearing Jim.
You swearing Jim. And you and I have something in common, and that, well, you used to be in the radio business. How long were you in the radio business?
From 85 to 2015. So you do the math.
Long time.
It was a while.
So why'd you get out of the radio business?
I was hungry. I like paying my bills. It's unfortunate. A lot of people think that you get paid like Howard Stern, but not everyone.
Well,
Howard
a few
Stern.
people do.
Yeah.
Most people.
Not most of us.
Yeah, most of us. So you're in the O'Fallon Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
I meet you the other
met.
day, and we go around the table, introducing each other. And I introduced myself as a radio guy, and you said, well, I used to do that too. So I said, well, let's get together. And I brought you into the studio, and you didn't know we were going to do a podcast. We're doing a podcast right now. How about that?
This is completely ad hoc.
Now, you are now a real estate agent.
I am. Thank you.
How long have you been doing that?
Since COVID. So about 3 years. This is my third career. I was doing the radio thing for quite a while, then part-time, and then I got into manufacturing. And,
what'd you do in manufacturing?
Well, my dad was a mechanical engineer, and college education was communication. So, not that I can speak, but business and communication. So, he invited me to come back home, which is the O'Fallon area, and work with him. And we started a business and did tool and die, special machines. We built special equipment.
Really?
And precision machining. Yeah.
You know, what's interesting, a lot of people don't realize, but there's a lot of that in the St. Louis area.
There's a ton of it. Well, especially with Boeing.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah. And like, for example, there's a lot of manufacturing in western St. Charles County that people don't know about. A ton of manufacturing in Franklin County, the Washington area. A lot of precision, metal making, finishing, tool and die. And a lot of those guys do work for like the big aerospace companies.
Yeah, we did a lot of, it was just contract work. So we did a lot for a lot of different people. Played a little bit in the aerospace industry at the time. Wasn't until later in my career. I ended up selling the business after my dad passed and went to work for another company here locally. And then ultimately I was running the operations, the floor at Kimco Aerospace in Kirkwood.
No kidding.
And did that for a short time. And then with COVID, everything kind of got shut down and the real estate thing started. My side hustle became more of a full-time gig.
So how long you been a real estate agent?
Just under 3 years, right?
But did you have your license way back when?
No, because of COVID, I thought I'm not going to just sit home and do nothing. Just because we were shut down, you can't keep me down too long. So I went ahead and got my license.
And so now you're doing it full time.
I am.
Has it been profitable for you? Do I dare ask that question?
You know what? There's a lot. So because I grew up in the O'Fallon, St. Charles County area,
right.
I've been here for a lot of years. Went to high school. Everybody asks that, right? I went to high
where'd you go to high school?
Fort Zumwalt. Before there were multiple Fort Zumwalts,
right.
We were out in a cornfield. And then because of my SOI or my sphere of influence, I was on the Fort Zumwalt school board for 21 years.
Wow, no kidding.
And just
you're a heavy hitter.
Lot of business. Well, I wouldn't say that.
I'm telling you, you're an influential person.
No,
I feel honored talking to you. I'm just some radio schlub. You know what I'm saying?
You're Brad Hildebrand.
No, I'm nobody. Trust me.
So yeah, I really hit the ground running, and I've done fairly well. I wouldn't say that I'm wealthy or anything like that.
Now, for those people who are listening. Mm-hmm. What's it really take to be a good real estate agent?
You have to like people, which is sometimes a challenge, right?
And some people can be, when you're dealing with the public, I learned that in my high school years working as a curb steak and shake. I was naive. I thought everybody was nice. And you find out that most people are, but some aren't, right?
That's true. That's true. But in real estate, the majority of what we do is marketing and relationships. And that's why I like to go to the chamber, and I'm in networking groups, and I like to sit down and do one-to-ones, basically like you and I have done.
We're doing it right now, but the only thing is we're doing it with microphones and a podcast,
and
right? And
there's another 500,000 people listening, right?
That's right. I wish that were the case. Maybe there will be. So you enjoy it?
I do. I really do. Because I've always been an entrepreneur by heart, with the other businesses that I had owned and operated. I don't really like to be told what to do. So I like to do my own thing, set my own schedule.
But you have to be sort of a self-starter because you have to really get that fire burning down below, don't you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it does take a special kind of someone, I think, to be a good realtor. There are a lot of realtors that do it because they think they're going to make a lot of money and maybe crash because of it. I'm not in it necessarily for the money. I've already had my careers, raised my family. And
you're not that old of a guy, are you?
I'm 55.
Oh, well, you're just life's just begun for you. You've got another 30 years to work.
I hope so. I don't plan to retire,
You're like me. You know what the number one cause of death in the United States is, don't you?
Retirement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's true. So this is a new adventure for you. And you're with which firm?
I'm with Magnolia Real Estate.
Magnolia. Now,
in O'Fallon.
Now, is Magnolia, are they are they like with, the who's the big one? EXP and the other ones?
Yeah, no. Magnolia is a privately held company, and there's about 80 agents, and we having fun.
Wow, that's a large agency then.
Yeah.
Now, the best thing about being a real estate agent?
Closing.
Worst thing about being a real estate agent?
Closing. Actually, I'm gonna edit that. Really, the best part for me about being a real estate agent is truly making that phone call and saying, "Hey, Brad, we got a contract. We're going to sell your house," or "Hey, they accepted our contract. You get to buy. It's going to be the largest investment of your lifetime." There's always a lot of excitement in that, and so if I can be a duck and basically keep everyone, looking at me above the waterline while I'm working to make sure everything comes together below the water, that's kind of what my goal is for my clients. I want them to have a smooth and joyful transaction and be excited when they do. And literally, the stack now is about 2 inches thick.
I know, it's crazy. I've heard it's just unbelievable.
Well, and every paper is designed because of something that's happened.
Right.
So
it's just like my favorite. You know what my favorite one is? You know about the deal in Chesterfield?
What's that? No.
About the airport? Do you know about this?
No. Tell me.
That if any piece of property that's sold in Chesterfield, there's a disclaimer in there that that there's an airport there and you won't complain about the noise.
Really?
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, I don't sell a lot in Chesterfield, but there is a paper that says that because I guess people were
because somebody
right?
moved in. It's just like I've lived in St. Charles County for a long time. Okay, there used to be a racetrack up at 94.
I remember that.
And Jump
I've been
Station,
around for
right?
a long time.
Okay,
too, yeah.
So people moved in. They built a house next to the racetrack, and then it's too loud here.
Right.
Let's go. You move next to a racetrack. Guess what?
So school board, right?
Right.
So we had people moving next to school buildings.
And they complain about the noise?
Football field. And they complain about the light standards. There's too much light in my house.
And the PA announcer. It's noisy at night.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I think one of the West County schools, I can't remember which one it was, that's out in town and country, they didn't have lights and they tried to get lights and the neighbors shot it down. Well, we don't want those lights. And I'm going you live next to a school. Okay. That's like complaining that you hear bells, right? There's buses, there's diesel buses in the parking lot. Guess what? It's a school.
Right.
So, okay, now here's my question for you. As far as real estate, this is the thing that I get all the time. There was a time within the last year, 18 months, when if you listed a house for $500,000, there were people who would say, well, I'll bid $520. And then another guy came along and bid $540. Another guy came along and bid $580. I remember hearing a real estate agent in another station, I won't mention the guy's name, and he told me the story about how he got a complaint from a guy who put in a contract on a house, and he said, how did I not win that house? I bid $150,000 over list price. And the agent said to him, well, the reason you didn't get it because another guy bid $175,000 over list price. So here's my question. Why don't you list every house for $1 million? No, seriously.
That's good.
Think about it from the angle that if, let's say, okay, here's a perfect example. Let's say down the street from us where we're at now, there's a Mercedes-Benz dealership, okay? And you went in and looked at one of the Mercedes, and it was $90,000 car. And all of a sudden on the radio, you hear an ad, hey, today at blah, blah, blah Mercedes, every car is only $30,000. That's right. We said only $30,000. No gimmicks, no funny business. We're just blowing out the inventory. Every car is $30,000. How quick do you think the parking lot would fill up with people beating each other over the head to buy that Mercedes for less than half price? My philosophy is the same way. List every house for $1 million and you offer me $500, sold.
That's a great question. I don't know that. So, we're taught to try to price these homes that it would be relatable to the market, whatever the value of the market may bring, and really regarding the story previous that you just mentioned, homes are valued only what someone's willing to pay.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. And appraisers, which I still say is a gimmick.
They're deal killers. I just had that. Speaking of gimmick, I just had a home that we went under contract for $489,000. There were 3 homes that they looked at as comparables, right?
Right.
In around the area that just also sold recently, from $490,000 to $530,000. So anywhere in a normal state of realism, whatever reality is, you would think that my home would have come in somewhere between $490,000 and $530,000. No, it came in at $490,000. Why? Because the house sold for $489,000. So it's just $1,000. We got to make sure that it's safe for the bank, but we don't want to give those that are buying the home any additional equity prior to moving in.
Well, see, and that's what's always frustrating to me is like, let's say a subdivision, okay? Subdivision out in St. Charles, pick a subdivision, and let's say I buy 3 houses in that subdivision, okay? Let's say each of the houses a $500,000 house, okay? And I buy 3 houses in a row, 1, 2, 3, and I tear them all down, and I build a $10 million $10 million house. That house isn't worth $10 million. It's maybe worth, what, $750,000 because of the fact that the comps?
Well, yes. Honestly. And so I have a neighbor right across the street from me who bought a house that they have put close to, and I don't live in a neighborhood like this, but they put probably close to $1 million in their home. And she knows. And I asked her, I said, you'll never sell that house for what you have in it. And she said, no, I know that. I just like what I have. I don't plan to move. So I'm making it to what I want. Me, on the other hand, if I'm going to do any improvements to my house, it's going to add value to my house, but I don't want to overprice my house out of the market so that I'm actually losing money.
So how many times have you had someone who listed their house with you and you said to them, I think this house is worth $300,000. They went, $300,000? This is worth $600,000.
Oh, they all do that. They all do that. And the difficult thing is you never want to be the person to tell someone else their baby is ugly, right?
Well, hold on a minute now. I've said that before. You got I think all babies are ugly.
Baby. Yeah,
all babies are ugly, but
you don't want to tell them that their house is ugly.
I hear you. You're right.
So
right.
You have to be very political, I guess, in the way you tell them.
Right.
That, hey, you really should paint the walls.
Right,
take
right.
down some of those
and that cracked driveway you need to replace, and the plumbing that's leaking in the basement, there's a couple things that need some work.
Some things that need help.
Right. And the hole in the roof, we need to take care of that, right? That type of stuff. Now, if people want to get a hold of you, and by the way, we're talking to, and I love the way because his name is spelled Swaringim, and I go, how you pronounce that? And your answer was?
Well, it's like cussing in PE class.
Swearingim, right?
Swearingim. Yeah.
So people want to get a hold of you. How do they do it?
My cell phone is the best, 314-482-1722. That's 314-482-1722. Also, Mike at stlree.com is my email address. Or if you go to stlree.com, it brings you to my blog page. And it's stlouisrealestateexpert.com.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what is STLREE? Mm-hmm. And that's your blog page?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do you do blogs anywhere else? Do you do podcasts? You ever heard of a podcast before?
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
I think it's what we're doing right now. Do you do any kind of stuff like that?
I don't regularly, but I'd love to maybe try. We'll see.
Do you want to buy some advertising on our station?
Absolutely. Is that the right answer?
Yes, that's the right answer. Oh, excellent. You know what? And it sounds like you really enjoy what you do.
I do. I really do.
And see, I have to tell you that I've been doing this a long time. I've told you how long I've been doing this, and I've not made a lot of money. But you know what? There are days I wake up and I think to myself, what the hell am I doing? But the majority of the days I wake up and I think to myself, I would want to do nothing else than what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
I do know. In fact, that's where I'm at now. If when I was doing radio for so many years ago, right, I had that feeling of prosperity, not because of the money I was making, but because of how I felt and who I was, and just that I enjoyed what I was doing. And then I went into manufacturing. And although I feel like that was a great gift back to the community and to mankind and working on airplanes, and, you know, I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. And now I do in real estate again. I feel that sense of prosperity again. And again, it has nothing to do with finances. It's how when I wake up in the morning, I feel joy.
Well, and what's interesting for me is that through my business and my time in the radio business, there's a couple different levels that I feel good about. Is that a lot of times we're helping small business people, and I am a small business person. And I guess what's sort of frustrating to me is that sometimes I see small business people and I see them making stupid mistakes, thinking like, well, everybody knows who I am. Nobody knows who you are. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, in today's economy, there's so many, like in your business, how many real estate agents are there in St. Charles County? What, 5,000, 6,000, something like that?
You know, and I say that everyone knows at least 5 real estate
Uncle
agents.
Jim sells real estate.
Everybody.
Susie down the street, right?
But, you know, I have this abundance mentality. I feel like even though there are 5,000 different real estate agents to choose from, there are also 100,000 homes out there that need to be bought and sold at different times. Obviously.
And most of your business is in St. Charles County?
Most of my business is in St. Charles County. I do go into St. Louis County. I actually have a listing right now in St. Louis City, which is odd for me. I like to stay in my lane. I'm from St. Charles County, so I like to do a lot of work in St. Charles County.
I don't know if you heard this or not. I heard it just this morning. Another radio station. Should I say that? Shame on me. I listen to other radio stations. Did you get that? You know what? One of the most common questions I still get to this day is, do you listen to other radio stations? And I tell people, I go, do you think the guy who works at a restaurant only eats at his restaurant? No.
Right.
And if he's the owner of the restaurant, he's going to be eating at the other restaurants to figure out what they're doing, you know, to see what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, because he's going to pick the good ideas they're using or the good menu ideas and try to. Anyway, I heard on another station this morning that the city of St. Louis is down again population-wise. This is an update for the 2020 census. City of St. Louis is down. St. Louis County's down. I think St. Charles County or St. Louis County was down like 7,000 people. But Franklin, Warren, St. Charles, and Jefferson County all up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's been going on for years.
Yes. I mean, look at the population of St. Charles County, over 400,000. St. Charles County now is larger than the city of St. Louis. St. Charles County is like probably 415, 420. City of St. Louis is under 300,000. And you know, this little statistic, I'll give you this one. If you take the St. Charles County population, which we call the Westplex, if you take that population, if you just pulled St. Charles County and put it in the middle of Kansas, we would be the 47th largest city in the country.
You're kidding.
No, seriously.
Wow.
47th just in St. Charles County. Because matter of fact, we would be larger than Tulsa, Oklahoma. And when you think about that, you go like, whoa, holy cow. You know, I mean, when I moved to St. Charles County, you know, I mean, like my ex-boss, the radio boss I had, he was a little bit of a West County snob. He said to me one day, hey, Brad, I hear you're buying a house in St. Charles. No, he said, I hear you moving to St. Charles County. I go, yeah, I am. He says, are you buying a single wide or a double wide?
Ouch. Well, you know, there's still folks that don't want to cross the bridge.
Tell me about it. You know,
even today.
Right. Hey, Mike, it's been a joy. Once again, contact information.
314-482-1722 or Mike at stlree.com.
And just remember, if you cuss in gym,
if you cuss in PE class.
I'm sorry.
Then you swear in gym.
And it's Mike swearing gym. Mike, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Brad.